Okay, so welcome to this quick live stream that I'm just going to do. Normally I wouldn't do one tonight, but I thought I'd do a quick one. Simply, the only reason is just because I was supposed to be using the setup for someone else, but then it turned out they didn't have something that they needed. So I thought rather than waste the setup, I was just do a quick live stream. And anyway, at least the two viewers have disappeared, so we can just get this out of the way. So what all I'm trying to say in this stream is just basically that Islam isn't about building anything, because as you can see, it's any country they're in, people are getting chopped up and getting shot up or dying in other different ways. And so now they're trying to bring Islam over here into Europe. And of course, if they succeed, then the same destruction is going to happen here with just people getting chopped up, the usual thing. But of course, the Muslims aren't going to tell you that. So what I'm going to do is just go to some Quran verses which make it obvious what's happening. So this first one, there's a verse. Sorry, it's a chapter in the Quran called An-Nisa, and it's the women. Let's see what these Muslims can do to their women. And so Sahih International says, I won't bother reading the brackets because, they just put it in to try and change the meaning of the original Arabic. And so Sahih International says, men are in charge of women by what Allah has given one over the because this website is badly formatted. Men are in charge of the other and what they spend from their wealth. The righteous women are devoutly obedient, guarding in absence what Allah would have them guard. But those from whom you fear ignorance, and this is the other important thing you have to notice, is that at the beginning, it says men are in charge of women. It doesn't say men are in charge of their wives. So the fact it puts wives here is that, no, the Arabic doesn't say that. So this is just talking about women in general. So, you can do this to, well, maybe even if a woman comes to visit your house, you can do this to them as well. You just can't really tell because of how bad the Arabic is. So it says, but those from whom you fear arrogance, so remember, those women whom you fear arrogance, so it could be a cousin, sister, or whatever, advise them, forsake them in bed, and strike them. But if they obey you, seek no means against them. Indeed, Allah is ever exalted and grand. And so you notice how these brackets are all over the place. Because the first part, that was just invented by some random scholar. So it just says you're supposed to advise them, forsake them in bed, and strike them. So that's what you do. It's just 1, 2, 3, bam, bam, bam. And you'll find out that you might think that that's not the case. But let's see what the other translators say. So will all the translators follow what Sahih International has done? The Pictel says men are in charge of women because Allah has made the one of them to excel the other. Okay. And because they spend of their property, so good women are the obedient, guarding in secret that which Allah hath guarded. As for those from whom ye fear rebellion, admonish them and banish them to beds apart and scourge them. Then if they obey you, seek not a way against them. Lo, Allah is ever high, exalted, great. So notice Pictal just tells you it straight up. He doesn't waste time beating around the bush. He doesn't have to care about politics or anything like that. Pictal just wants to make sure that you're a big Muslim, knows how to deal with your woman. The woman isn't going to mess with you. Because all you have to do, if you fear rebellion, so if that woman gives a funny look to you, then what do you do to them? Admonish them and banish them to beds apart and scourge them. So Pictal's telling you straight up what you should be doing. This is as a Muslim. Of course, a Christian man looks after his woman, but these Muslims, you can see why also at Speaker's Corner, you hardly see their women coming down because I think they're too scared to, in case their husband thinks they're rebellious. Yusuf Ali, he's another fixer. So he'll say, men are protectors and maintainers of women because Allah has given the one more than the other, and because they support them from their means. Therefore, the righteous women are devoutly obedient and guard in absence what Allah would have them guard. As to those women on whose part you fear disloyalty and ill conduct, she's added extra there, admonish them, refuse to share their beds, beat them. And so, as you can see, Yusuf Ali's got all these brackets everywhere to make sure you know that you have to ignore what Allah says and try and be like a Christian. Well, a Christian man isn't going to strike his wife anyway, except for the evil ones who are not really Christians. But as you can see, if a Muslim man strikes his woman, remember, not wife, just woman, so it could be his cousin or whatever, then he's actually being a good Muslim according to Allah if they're being rebellious. Let's see what Shakir says. Men are the maintainers of women because Allah has made some of them to excel others, and because they spend out of their property. The good women are therefore obedient, guarding the unseen as Allah has guarded. And those on whose part you fear desertion, admonish them and leave them alone in the sleeping places and beat them. So Shakir is showing you this is what a proper Muslim is supposed to do. And he's not going to beat around the bush and come up with any fake translation. So he's telling you straight how things should go down. And let's see, Muhammad Sawa says, men are the protectors of women because of the greater preference that God has given to some of them and because they financially support them. Among virtuous women are those who are steadfast in prayer and dependable in keeping the secrets that God has protected. He's pretty long-winded. Admonish women who disobey, do not sleep with them and beat them. So, yeah, I mean, even though Muhammad Sawa is long-winded, he's telling you straight up what to do as well. So he says, do not sleep with them and beat them. So he's just going with what Allah said in the Arabic, telling you straight up what you're supposed to do. And at least it shows you that those fake Muslims who say that, oh no, we're supposed to look after our women and, love them or whatever, and we're not going to beat them. But remember, Allah says, well, this one's a bit weird because it's supposed to be fear, but it says admonish women who disobey. So, and well, anyway, let's see. Let's see. Mohsin Khan, so we're almost there. Mohsin Khan says, men are the protectors and maintainers of women because Allah has made one of them to excel the other. So that shows you how unfair Allah is, and because they spend from their means. Therefore, the righteous women are devoutly obedient and guard in the husband's absence what Allah orders them to guard. As to those women on whose part you see in ill conduct, so looks like we might have a scammer there, admonish them, refuse to share their beds, beat them. So if you ignore the brackets, he's agreeing with the other translators and the Arabic as well. And then the last one's Arbery. He's usually a staunch follower of the Arabic man. So these women are going to be feeling the pain with Arbery. He says, men are the managers of the affairs of women, for that God has preferred in bounty one of them over another. So that means Allah is sexist then. And for that they have expended of their property. Righteous women are therefore obedient, guarding the secret for God's guarding. And those you fear may be rebellious, admonish, banish them to their couches, and beat them. So Arbery's straight up again. If they then obey you, look not for any way against them. God is all high, all great. So as you can see, Arbery, he's straight up as well. So the majority of translators, they go with the Arabic and what Allah says, and that if a woman is disobedient, then do these three things. Remember, three strike all in one go. You're supposed to admonish, banish them to their couches, and beat them. So it's a three strike all in one go. And notice most of the translators agree with that's what you do. It's just three hit combos straight away and make sure they feel the pain. Well, it says beat them, so obviously they're supposed to. It's supposed to hurt, or the beating's no point. And just to be sure that because a lot of them will try and skip the fear part. So what we do is so that was 434. Let's see if the word fear is in there. That's what we're looking for. Of women, because bestowed Allah some of them over others, and because they spend from their wealth, so the righteous women, obedient, guarding in unseen that which them to guard. Now notice it says Allah there, but there it says Lahu. It's strange, isn't it? I wonder if it's supposed to be Allah or Lahu, which God do Muslims actually follow? Right, so it says, and those from whom, that's wa'alati, you fear, takafuna. So the you fear is in the Arabic. So all those translations where the fear part is missing, yes, you fear may be rebellious. So that's correct. He says you see ill conduct. That's wrong. And what was it among admonish women who disobey? So the fear should be in there, but he's completely missed it out. Shakir, what does he say? Yeah, you fear desert. So fear is in there. So his Shakir is correct. Yusuf Scammer, what's he saying? Yeah, he's got fear as well. So you fear disloyalty. And Pictel, those whom so fear, he's got it, so he's correct. And yeah, so he says fear. So most of them are right. So but anyone that tries to miss out the word fear, they're a scammer because they're trying to make it out as if you have to see it. But no, it's if you fear. So if you're worried that if you're a Muslim man, you're worried that your woman might be disobedient, then you get them the 3-hit combo whenever you want to. Just bam, bam, bam. Well, the bam is the last one, but you give them the three. What do you say? Not 3 strike. The 3 move or whatever combo, which ends with the strike. That's only if you fear disobedience. So that's one way, of course, that Islam will destroy civilization, because of course the women will be a mess, because they just be treating their women like like animals, or they're like a rug on the floor. So of course the women won't have any strength, and that would allow the women in the other countries to easily be able to overwhelm them. And now the next one. Okay, so we're going to go for the next one, which is in the same chapter. It's 424. Right, so now this is what's going to happen. The Muslims take over, and they manage to get some sort of stronghold in your country. Then yet again, this is going to show you what's going to happen to your women. So even if you got your wife, the men have got their wives. You might think, says, oh well, I'm married to her, so I'm safe still. Well, not with Allah. Allah's always got something ready for anyone, it seems. Sun International says, and married women except those your right hand possesses. And so this one's going to be pretty easy because it's always just this first line. So what it's showing you is that because the verse before explains what's lawful, sorry, what isn't lawful, and so it's telling you that well, actually, let's go to the previous verse since it is. We'll just do it just for one. So it says, prohibited to you are your mothers, your daughters, your sisters. So it gives you a whole list of what is prohibiting. Yes. So 20 verse 23 is all about prohibitions, what you can't do. So you think, okay, Allah's prohibiting something, so that maybe he's actually trying to get the Muslims to be nice. But then you find out that it's married women, which you expect, except those your right hand possess. So what that shows you is that the Muslims are in a strong position and they decide to go on a raid in your town. Even if the men have got all their wives, guess what happens? The wives get dragged away. It's as simple as that. And yes, all these are pretty similar because it's hard to really cover anything up. But it's mainly the fact that it says married women except those your right hand possess. And that's the one big way, of course, in which you're forbidden to marry married women except your slave girls. Yeah, Muhammad Sawa is a bit weird because he's trying to change it. But at least all the other translators are just making it straight up. It says, and wedded women save what your right hands own. So with Islam, you can own a wedded woman. It's amazing. Isn't it? Of course, that's Islam. It's not going to happen. I'm sure even atheists wouldn't really want to do that. But when it comes to Muslims, of course, Allah is going to even go beyond something that atheists wouldn't do, which is hardly surprising. Let's go to the next one, which is 530. Yeah, okay, let's do this one. Okay, so now this next one. Right, so it says, indeed, the penalty for those who wage war against Allah and his messenger, website, and strive upon earth, corruption is none but that they be killed or crucified, or that their hands and feet be cut off from opposite sides, or that they be exiled from the land. That is for them a disgrace in this world, and for them in the hereafter is a great punishment. But as you can see, if the Muslims end up getting in a strong position in any country, that's what you got to look forward to. Yes, you got to do with execution, cutting off of hands and feet from opposite sides, or exile. And the thing you have to wonder is which one's worse. But here's the thing: remember that Muslims have an option between either killed or crucified. So which one do you think they're going to do? Of course, if it's the mean and nasty Muslims, you know what they're going to choose. Well, they'll probably go for the hands and feet in it because they just like, how some people like doing that sort of thing to be able to chop people up. And I suppose they won't go for the crucified because that one takes a bit longer. Obviously, this is the easiest. Well, killed is the easiest, but then they don't get to show their evil. So that's why a lot of Muslims are going to like going for the hands and feet on the alternate sides. They know that is proper cruel, and you know how some of these some of these Muslims like that sort of thing, especially after a sort of documentary I saw about it. I like this Shakir though. See, Shakir is telling you straight up. He's saying the punishment of those who war against Allah and His Messenger and strive to make mischief in the land is only this, that they should be murdered or crucified, or their hands and their feet should be cut off on opposite sides. So Shakir is telling you straight that even though it's illegal, which is what murder is, that Allah is still letting you do it. And you can tell, I know there's some Muslims who are looking forward to this part. But this is the thing. If you let the Islam build up in your country and they take over, you're going to be looking forward to some of this happening down your street or even inside your own house once they get in. And this is the thing that people don't understand, is they think, oh, these Muslims are so cozy and we can, they're nice to us and whatever. So yeah, they're nice now. But once they get power, like Shakir says, they should be murdered. Straight up, Shakir just doesn't care. He's telling you straight in your face what will happen from those Muslims if they take over. And you see, Muhammad Sawa, he tries to cover up usually, but it seems in this case, he's trying to force it. See, no brackets from him in this one. It says the only proper recompense for those who fight against God and His Messenger and try to spread evil in the land is to be killed, crucified, or either to have one of their hands and feet cut off from the opposite sides, or to be sent into exile. But you know for sure that most of these Muslims, they're not going to bother with the exile one. No, they're going to do the other three instead, because they like doing that kind of thing. And then Mohsin Khan says the recompense of those who wage war against Allah and His Messenger and do mischief in the land is only that they shall be killed or crucified, or their hands and their feet be cut off on the opposite sides, or be exiled from the land. That is their disgrace in this world, and a great torment is theirs in the hereafter. So notice that these translators, they're not bothering with the brackets, aren't they? And you know what that means? When you see the brackets are missing like that, it means that this is actually what they want to happen. This is so all these translators, they want this stuff to happen to people who are against Islam. So that's why the brackets are just not there. They want us to know that this is what you got to look forward to if we let Islam just like build up around us. And then finally, Arbery, no brackets for him either, says this is the recompense of those who fight against Allah and His Messenger. I won't say God, because obviously it's not God. And hasten about the earth to do corruption there. They shall be slaughtered. So Arbery, yeah, he's telling you straight what he wants these Muslims to be doing. He says they shall be slaughtered or crucified, or their hands and feet shall alternately be struck off, or they shall be banished from the land. So it seems like it's fully unanimous from all these translators. The minute it comes to the part where the Muslims start to chop people up, the brackets are missing. What that shows you is that this is what these guys want. They want to have the final victory of Islam, just chopping people up. And they want to make sure that this is what you get to see in their translation. And so, for some reason, I decided I wanted to see verse 34 as well. So let's see what that's saying. See what happens in 34. Except for those who return before you apprehend them. Oh, I see. So, yeah, so it's just saying that you have to repent. But that's interesting. That you see, before they fall into power. Yeah, so they have to repent before you start to chop them up. But repent of what? The thing I like is that Mohsin Khan, is it? Yeah, Mohsin Khan is the one that gives it away. All the others just put the Arabic, what it says. But Mohsin Khan is the one who obviously knows what it means. It says it for those who come back, and even though it's in brackets, he knows the intent is that when you come back, it's as a Muslim. So the only way you can avoid getting chopped up just because you spread corruption in the land, whatever that means, is if you become a Muslim. And that's to be expected because they love their forced conversions. And then the last one is, yeah. Let's check this one out. This is 9. 24. Right, so this one says, say, if your fathers, your sons, your brothers, your wives, your relatives, wealth which you have obtained, commerce wherein you fear decline, and dwellings with which you are pleased, are more beloved to you than Allah and His Messenger, and jihad in His cause, then wait until Allah executes His command, and Allah does not guide the defiantly disobedient people. So notice that the important things, these things must be more important for you than your family, your money, and your houses are more important to you than Allah's messenger and jihad in His cause. So if you see any Muslim who doesn't want to do jihad in the way of Allah, then they're not a proper, they're not a Muslim in the first place. They're just some unbeliever pretending to be a Muslim. So let's see, Pictal says, say if your fathers, yeah, it's the same thing. Let's get down to are dearer to you than Allah and His Messenger and striving in His way. Okay, Pictal's being clever. But it's not striving the way of the Messenger, is it? It's obviously striving in Allah's way. Then wait till Allah bringeth His command to pass. Allah's guide is not wrongdoing folk. So he agrees the same way as well. That these things, all these things which you have in life, they mustn't be dearer to you than Allah or His Messenger or striving in His cause. If you see some Muslim just sitting down watching TV, he's in big trouble. Because you're going to have to do something, because you have to strive in Allah's cause, and this is straight from the Quran. And I like the way that, anyway, it's the same thing, striving in His way. The way is they're using the more, they're going closer to the Arabic when they say striving in His way. But of course, there's only one way to strive in the way of Allah, and that is not to sit down and watch TV, that's for sure. But I have to admit that this, when you read even the translation, it doesn't quite make sense. Where it says, then wait till Allah brings about His command. Okay. So Muhammad Sawa says, tell them if your fathers, so all the usual, are more beloved to you than Allah, His Messenger, and fighting for His cause. Wait until God fulfills His decree. Yeah, it doesn't actually quite make sense. It should give you a negative. But the main thing is that in this verse, all these Muslims who are around you, so if you got a town in Europe and it becomes full of Muslims, guess what? All of them will be fighting for His cause. That is required on a Muslim. That's the thing. They're not supposed to just sit down, have fun, and go to the park or whatever. No, they're supposed to be fighting in the way of Allah. And funny enough, Mohsin Khan, he's usually a bit weird, but in this case, it looks like he's coming strong. So it says, are dearer to you than Allah and His Messenger, and striving hard and fighting in his cause. See, I'm telling you, this Muslim Khan, he wants Muslims to be fighting. You can tell. Like in the previous one, where he wanted them properly to be chopping people up for spreading corruption. So showing you that these Muslims know that fighting is what they're supposed to be doing. And then finally, Arbery says, if these are dearer to you than Allah and His Messenger, and to struggle in His way, wait till God brings His command. So notice he says struggle, but yeah, there's only one way you can struggle. It doesn't mean going to a wrestling match. It's doing what Muslims did back in the days, which is get a sword and on a horse. That's what they did. And let's just get some morphology. See if are your fathers, sons, brothers, spouses, relatives, and wealth that you acquired, and the commerce you fear decline, and the dwellings you delight, are more beloved to you than Lahi. Yeah, again, they keep saying it's Allah, but the Arabic is actually Lahi. So they say Allah, but it's Lala. That's the thing, because it's Alif. Alif doesn't. When you pronounce an Alif as Al. Lahi. And his messenger, Warasuli, Sulihi, and striving, Wajihadin. So it's jihad, obviously. Well, obviously, yeah, jihad means strive, or some guys say exertion. But the thing is, how do you exert in the way of Allah? What is that? You go to the gym, really? So anyway, that's let's see how long we've been up. Well, just half an hour. I suppose that'll do for today. What I do is, well, I know it says 2 people watching, so might as well keep. But anyway, like I'm saying, what the whole point of what I'm trying to show here is that when it comes to the Muslims, that they can tell you all their friendly stuff all they want, but trying to see if I can find. But what really matters is what it says in the Quran. And let me just check some. What verse it is now? Because this Surah 9 is a really good one for getting lots of stuff from it. No, I don't think 111's got anything. Let's see if it says. Yeah, it's right on target. Yeah, so this is another thing. This is how you another way of spotting the fake Muslims, and that is this is Surah 9 111. Because this is what these Muslims are supposed to be doing. So if you see some Muslims sitting around, they're in the park having fun and coming and saying, going on holiday, or like you see Sneeko drinking. That's all he's doing, in Saudi Arabia, living it up. But this is what these Muslims are supposed to be doing. No, forget all that Sneeko nonsense. It's the Quran that tells you what the Muslims should be doing. So this is Surah 9 111. It says, indeed, Allah has purchased from the believers their lives and their properties, but that they will have paradise. They fight in the cause of Allah. So they kill and are killed. A true promise upon him in the Torah and the Gospel and the Quran. And who is truer to his covenant than Allah? So rejoice in your transaction which you have contracted and it is that which is the great attainment. So notice that it might not be true to the Arabic, but it certainly sounds good because it shows you how you can spot a fake Muslim. Because if they're not interested in fighting in the cause of Allah, so that they're killed, and here's the interesting thing: you see, this fight. I think, some people say jihad is to exert or to go to the gym. So let's find out. So this is Surah 9111. We're back to this strange looking website. I say strange because they're going for a weird look. It used to look better before. Remember, we're gonna go to 9111. So let's see if it's gonna say go to the park. So it says indeed Ina Laha purchased from the believers, the mu'miniyah, their lives and their wealth was them paradise or the garden, because it's Jannata. They fight, so Yakatiluna in the way or in way of Allah. So whenever you see Yakatiluna fight the way of Allah, slay. They are slain. So that's what Muslims should be doing. You see a lot of Muslims in the park and they're all jumping around and having fun. They're a bunch of fakers. It's guaranteed because this Quran shows you what Muslims should be doing. So if a Muslim kicks your door down and wants to fight you in the way of Allah and slay and be slain by you, then he's doing what the Quran says. It's simple stuff. So Pictal says, lo, Allah hath bought from the believers their lives. So no, it's Allah's bought their lives. So any Muslim who's a true believer, their life has been bought. But a fake Muslim, their life hasn't been bought. They're just going to be doing whatever they want, like Sneeko, having fun, eating these big meals, or relaxing in Saudi Arabia. No, you should be down there. Maybe you should join the guys in Africa, with the machete or something. Even if you can't be chopping up in Syria anymore, then Africa's still there. So this is what Sneeko should be doing. So lo, Allah has bought from the believers their lives and their wealth, because the garden, see, he gets it right, will be theirs. They shall fight in the way of Allah, indeed, and shall slay and be slain. So that's what Sneeko should be doing if he thinks he's a real Muslim. It is a promise which is binding on him in the Torah and the Gospel and the Quran. Who fulfills his covenant better than Allah? So remember, it's a covenant. So why do you wonder why are these Muslims going around chopping people up and dying? Because it says, "I'll slay and be slain." They're just doing what the Quran says, man. I mean, give me a break. They read their Quran. Allah's telling them straight up what they should be doing. Let's see Yusuf Ali. He tries to usually play it down, but let's see what he says. Allah hath purchased of the believers their persons and their goods. For theirs is the garden. They fight in his cause and slay and are slain. So yeah, he's straight up as well. A promise binding on him in truth through the law, the gospel, and the Quran. And who is more faithful to his covenant than Allah? Then rejoice in the bargain which you have concluded. That is the achievement supreme. So there you have it. As Muslims, to get the supreme achievement is not to come down to Speaker's Corner and insult Christians. No, they should be out there fighting in his cause. Remember, this is Yusuf Ali as well, so he's supposed to be trying to, play things down. But no, Yusuf Ali doesn't care. He says they fight in his cause and slay and are slain. So, like I say, if you next 5 minutes your door gets kicked down and some Muslims are there want to fight you, they're just following the Quran, man. I mean, what's the problem? Let's see what Shakir says. Surely Allah has bought of the believers their persons and their property for this, that they shall have the garden They fight in Allah's way, so they slay and are slain. A promise which is binding on him in the Torah and the Injil and the Quran. Who is more faithful to his covenant than Allah? Rejoice, therefore, in the pledge which you have made. So you see, when those Muslims give that, what do you call it, shahada, innit? They make a pledge. And what is the pledge? That they're going to fight in Allah's way, so they slay and are slain. The next time you walk past that mosque, remember, these Muslims have read, well, not all of them have read it, I admit that. But there's going to be some Muslims who've going to read Surah 9111 and they'll understand what they should really be doing. So they know all this coming over to the country and sitting down in a mosque and, just insulting Christians. That's not the real way of Islam. No, the real way is what the Quran says. And that is fighting Allah's way, so they slay and are slain. So let's see what Muhammad Salwa has to say. It says, God has purchased the souls and property of the believers in exchange for paradise, or that garden again. They fight for the cause of Allah, to destroy his enemies and to sacrifice themselves. Oh, yeah. That's why they blow themselves up, you see. Depending on, so if you give this Muhammad Salwa translation to someone who wants to blow themselves up, guess what? They say, oh, I can sacrifice myself. Yeah, whatever. This is the true promise which he has revealed in the Torah, which is a lie, because Torah doesn't tell you anything about that. The Gospel, that's a lie. And the Quran say, no one is more true to his promise than Allah. Let this bargain be glad news for them. That is indeed the supreme triumph. So notice it's supposed to be good news for these Muslims that they're going to get. What they're going to get to do? To fight for the, well, he doesn't say it. Sawa's a bit lightweight, but let's go with Shakim. So they slay and are slain. So that's the bargain that these Muslims want to sign up for. Okay, Muhsin Khan, let's see what he's saying. Verily, Allah has purchased of the believers their lives and their properties. The price that there shall be paradise, or that garden again. They fight in Allah's cause, so they kill and are killed. It is a promise in truth, which is binding on him in the Torah, that's not true, and the Injil, neither that, and the Quran. Who is truer to his covenant than Allah? Then rejoice in the bargain which you have concluded. That is the supreme success. So notice it says bargain. So that's what the Shahada is. You do that Shahada, and that's it. You're supposed to now go out and start. Oh, yeah. Once you do Shahada, the next thing you should be doing is to fight in Allah's cause. So they kill and are killed. That's what a Muslim is supposed to do. So if you see a Muslim not doing that, then you just have to ask them, have you read your Quran? What did Allah say you have to do? And so let's go down to Arbery. It says, God has brought from the believers their selves and their possessions against the gift of paradise, or that garden. They fight in the way of Allah. They kill and are killed. That is a promise binding upon Allah in the Torah and the Gospel and the Quran. And who fulfills his covenant but truer than Allah? So rejoice in the bargain you have made with him. That is the mighty triumph. So as you see, this is what these Muslims should be doing. All these fake ones saying, yeah, become a Muslim so you can come to the mosque, and then we go and go to a restaurant, because they love doing that. You see them sitting down and coming insulting the Christians at Speaker's Corner. That's not what they should be doing. No, like it says in this word by word, it says they slay and they are slain. Promise upon him true, says the hack, in the Torah and the Injil, the Wal Injili and Wal Qurani. And who more faithful promise than Lahi, rejoice in your transactions. So that's what your what do you call it? Shahada is a transaction which you have contracted. So all these Muslims, they've signed a contract to slay and be slain, and they don't even realize it. That's the sad thing about people that take Shahada. It shows you how dumb they are. And that is the success, the great. So finally, there's the last person's gone. But even though the viewers have disappeared, who cares about them? I've only got 15 minutes. I always like to make it at least an hour. The last one I want to do then, since I want to just get to an hour and then just drop it. And that is, I had this conversation with well, he wasn't really a Muslim. He says he's looking into Islam, but he's biased though, for sure. And he thought that he could, this is a classic one that he thought he could handle, but of course he fell by the wayside, because anyone who tries to solve this this particular one, they're always going to end up falling by the wayside. Because the reality is that Allah has basically dumped the Muslims in it, and they have to make their excuses to try and escape. But the truth is that, I think I've done this one already, haven't I? No, sorry, I did this years ago. So I was going to say that what's the easy way of doing it? Let me try and think. Because the only problem is that this Quran's a bit tedious. Because having to go verse by verse. Let me see Quran, bro. It's the time. I think what it is that the problem is it's Quran Dash browser. This is just a fake website that some scammers have set up and trick people. Yeah, picked out one. All right, let's start from here. So I managed to. It seems like 70 was the hot shot. So 70. So this is 1871. Says, so they two set out till they were in the ship. He made a hole therein. Moses said, "Hast thou made a hole therein to drown the folk thereof. Thou verily hast done a dreadful thing. So this is it's curious. It must have started from 69. Yeah. Let's try 65. So I just want to try and get it where it started. Right. So they found one of. It says, they found one of our slaves unto whom we have given mercy from us, and had taught him knowledge from our presence. So we know who the us is. So there's someone who they taught. And it says, Moses said unto, so Allah taught this person. So Moses said unto him, may I follow thee to the end that thou mayest teach me right conduct of that which thou hast been taught. So notice that Moses wants to be taught the right conduct of this person who's from Allah. So let's see what this right conduct is. So he says, lo, thou canst not bear with me. So he's trying to put Moses off. He says, how canst thou... It's a bit small. Oh, thou canst not bear with me. This is the one who... I know he gives his name. They found one of our slaves unto whom... I'm just trying to get his name, that's all. If I can get to the bar, let's try from 16. Doesn't take too long. Oh, I think yeah. So it's not I don't think much happens. Yeah, so just start from 66. Says Moses said unto him, may I follow thee to the end that thou mayst teach me right conduct of that which thou hast been taught. So remember the verse before it says, one of our slaves whom we had given mercy from us and had taught him knowledge from our presence. So that's Allah teaching this slave. That's why Muslims like to call themselves slaves of Allah. Moses said unto him, may I follow thee to the end that thou mayst teach me right conduct of that which thou hast been taught. So remember, Moses wants to be taught right conduct. So whatever this guy who Moses is with is going to do, he's going to be doing the right conduct, which is from Allah. So let's see what Allah has taught this guy. So he said, lo, thou canst not bear with me. How canst thou bear with that whereof thou canst not compass my knowledge? So remember, he's got the knowledge of Allah. So, and this is what Moses wants to get a piece of. And so 69 says, he said, Allah willing, thou shalt find me patient, and I will not be in aught gainsay thee. So that's Moses speaking. He says, well, if thou go with me, I know it keeps switching. So sometimes it's Moses and sometimes it's a guy, but they don't make it obvious which one. You can guess though. You can guess which one is speaking, whether it's Moses or the other guy. Well, if thou go with me, ask me not concerning aught, till I myself make mention of it unto thee. And there's a reason he's saying that, and you're going to find out. So they twain set out till when they were in the ship, he made a hole therein. Moses said, hast thou made a hole therein to drown the folk thereof? Thou verily hast done a dreadful thing. That's true. He said, did I not tell thee that thou couldst not bear with me? Moses said, be not wroth with me that I forgot, and be not hard upon me for my fault. So they twain journeyed on till when they met a lad, he slew him. Moses said, what? Hast thou slain an innocent soul who has slain no man? Verily thou hast done a horrid thing. Let me check this. He slew him because Pictor, I think, is Yeah, Pictel is really see 1874. I think Pictel's being clever here. You always have to watch out for these guys when it comes to these translations, because these translators they presume that the person reading their translation is dumb and that they can just sort of lie and whatever. So let me just check this. It says they both set out until when they met a boy. He killed him. Says, oh, he said, "Have you killed a soul pure other than a soul? Certainly you have done a thing." Oh, actually, I think I know one. Yeah, so let's go with these. I think his translation's all right. Let's keep going. So they twin journeys on till they met a lad. He slew him. Moses said, "What hast thou slain? What? Hast thou slain an innocent soul who hath slain no man? Verily thou hast done a horrid thing." So remember, this guy who just killed that boy, he has gotten information. This is Allah's taught him. So Allah's teaching him that this is what you should do. So, if you find Muslims following what this man who's with Moses does, then you know where they got it from. That's the thing. Let's go 74. And he said, "Did I not tell you that thou couldst not bear with me?" Moses said, "If I ask thee after this concerning aught, keep not company with me. Thou hast received an excuse from me." So they twain journeyed on till when they came unto the folk of a certain township. They asked its folk for food, but they refused to make them guests. And they found therein a wall upon the point of falling into ruin, and he repaired it. Moses said, "If thou hadst wished, thou couldst have taken payment for it." He said, "This is the parting between thee and me. I will announce unto thee the interpretation of that thou couldst not bear with patience." So notice the idea of when he says the interpretation, he gets that from Daniel, but majority of people won't even know what I'm talking about. As for the ship, it belonged to poor people working on the river, and I wished to mar it, for there was a king behind them who was taking every ship by force. Yeah, there was a king behind them who was taking every ship by force. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. As for the lad, his parents were believers, and we feared lest he should oppress them by rebellion and disbelief. Says, well, he's a child and they're adults, so they can handle it. So that's nonsense. And we intended that their Lord should change him for for one better in purity and nearer to mercy. So what he's saying is that he killed the lad because he wants the Allah to change him for another one. The parents just look after both of them. That's what happens in the world. So I think in this case, this I mean his name's Al-Qida, but I think he's in the Quran somewhere. But in this case, he's saying he had to kill him, but I'm saying no, let the parents just deal with him. That's what the Bible says. And then 82 says, "And as for the wall, it belonged to two orphan boys in the city, and there was beneath it a treasure belonging to them, and their father had been righteous. And our Lord intended that they should come to their full strength and should bring forth their treasure as a mercy from their Lord. And I did it not upon my own command, such is the interpretation of that wherewith thou couldst not bear." And I have to say that interpretation is a load of nonsense. Because I would have to say the reason he gave for killing the lad is just a load of, doesn't make no sense. The parents just have to discipline him, that's all. And then we get to the best one in the world, in the whole Quran, which is Surah 1883 and forwards, where it says, "They will ask thee of Dhul Qarnayn." Say, I will recite unto you a remembrance of him. Lo, we made him strong in the land. So I wonder who this we is. Well, you know who that is. And gave him unto everything a road. And he followed a road till when he reached the setting place of the sun, he found it setting in a muddy spring, and found the people thereabout. He said, we said, O Dul Karnain, either punish them or show them kindness. So the important thing is that who's narrating this? Well, it's the one who made him strong. So who is that? Well, it can only be Allah. It's the only one who can make anyone strong is the creator. Of course, not the real creator, but this is what Muslims believe. So it says, we made him strong and gave him unto everything a road. So it was Allah who gave him the road, and he followed that road that Allah gave him till he reached the setting place of the sun. So guess who's telling you that he reached the setting place of the sun? Yeah, it's Allah. So Allah is telling you that this is where the sun sets, and it's the simple stuff. So this is just for any Muslim who thinks that it's to do with he thinks that's where it's set or perceives that's where it's set. So no, Allah's telling you straight till when he reached the setting place of the sun. So that's what Muslims are supposed to believe. And any Muslim who doesn't believe that, he's just an unbeliever, and it's as simple as that. And I'm just trying to find I can quickly do this one before anyone comes on, and we can just end it. So it's right. So just in case any clever Muslim tells you that no, it seemed it was the same place. So this is Abu Dawood 4002. It says, narrated Abu Dar. I was sitting behind the messenger of Allah, who was riding a donkey while the sun was setting. He asked, do you know where this sets? I replied, Allah and his apostle know best. He said, it sets in a spring of warm water. That's Hamia. So, let's see if we can find the Arabic. So the warm water should be the last word. Let's see. So that should be Hamia. So you can't select it. So, 1886. Until when he reached the setting place, sun, he found it setting in spring, Madus Hamiatin. So that's this funny, and you've got two A's in the I. So let's see. It says here. Oh, two A's. Yeah, it's got two A's in the I. The one A is facing the other way. But yeah, actually that looks alright. It's got that Alif. One faces that way, one the other way, two dots underneath. Oh, that's got two. Yeah. Hamiatin is close. So what I'm showing is that this you can't select that. Oh, you can select the Arabic. So this Arabic here, it's it's just the Alif is missing. So it's Hamiatin. So it's Hamiatin. And then in the Hadith, Yeah, it's almost hamiatin. That's here. It's almost the same word. It's just that there's an alif there. So warm water. It says hamia. So it's almost the same Arabic word. So whether you call it warm water or dark mud, that is where the sun sets, according to Allah. That's a simple thing, and you have too many Muslims who are, you know, getting all clever and thinking they can answer the question. But the reality is, this is one they can't deal with, and that is that yes, the sun does set in a muddy spring according to Allah, and there's just no way around it. And then Muslims just have to live with that. So that's what I'm gonna be doing for tonight, since we got to that hour. And there's no one watching, as I would expect, because that's how it usually always is with live streams, because it's Saturday after all, and they just want to go out and have some fun or something. No one wants to like learn anything, because why should you bother? But of course, when the Muslims come and start kicking down your doors and chopping you up, then yeah, of course they'll think maybe we should have. Yeah, it's too late then. So all we can really do is just keep on putting things out, and maybe someone will care at some point. At some time in the future. All right, so I'm signing off now. So see you.